welcome back to Glove Up or Shut Up right here on AngryMarks.com. My name is Peter H. I'm joined by my good friend from Rec MMA, Nick Castiglia. Nick, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, boys.
All right. Well, there's a big show coming up here in Ottawa next weekend at the Casino Lac Leamy. Why don't you tell us all about it?
Well, unfortunately, this is our 10th, not unfortunately that it's our 10th show. It is our 10th show, but unfortunately it's our last show. That's, I put that it's going to be off indefinitely, it's on hiatus, but it's more looking like permanently right now.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, who's going to be in the main event for the, I guess you could say almost, the last Rec MMA show?
Well, we got BJ Ferguson versus Randy Turner.
Okay.
And Randy's going to be defending his title. BJ Ferguson was on The Ultimate Fighter. And we have Mark Holz versus Nabil Khatib.
That's going to be a fan favorite fight right there.
Yeah, it is. It's actually, I think they fought in the first one, to be honest. I think that's where their first fight happened, and it's kind of ironic. It's where the last fight for Rec is going to happen too.
Now, how many fights on the card overall?
Right now, because we're still working out on a couple more, we're looking like we got 10 fights slated for the night.
Okay, sounds good. Now, what time does this show start at?
Show starts at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6. It's at the Hilton Lac Leamy, right beside the Casino Lac Leamy.
All right. Now, are there any women's fights on the card?
No women's fights on the card. Or actually, I don't want to say we're working on one right now. A girl, Valerie, from MMA Experience and Fitness in Gatineau, formerly known as the Tap Out Gym. And, she's going to be facing an opponent from out of town. I just don't want to say for sure yet because it's not a confirmed fight, but we are working on one women's fight.
I didn't know the Tap Out Gym changed their name.
Yeah, they did. They did just recently. I don't know why. I can't speculate as to why, so I'm not too sure why, but I know that they have changed their name, just because in the tournament we just ran, I had to change their name and the team name, so.
Now, we had Brandon Jacare on a couple months ago. Is he going to be on the card as well?
Yeah, he's going to be fighting somebody who I formerly fought. His name's Paul Crusati. And, Paul, even though Paul has had 2 losses in the ring so far, he always wants to fight. He messages me, that he wants to fight. He wants to be on the card. And this time, he wants to donate his purse to charity for the Children's Hospital of Montreal. And he said, Nick, I'd really appreciate this opportunity, that it's the last Rec. Do you have anybody? And, Jacare, he doesn't have any striking, he only has jiu-jitsu, and he just started hitting the pads for the first time last week. So it should be an interesting matchup. I know Paul's going to want to keep it on the feet, because Jacare is being talked about quite a bit in the grappling community as of late, and not only because of his resemblance to the real Jacare, but also because of his high level ability. He's still winning absolute divisions, and he's still winning his weight category, even though he's just a newly promoted blue belt.
Yeah, we had him on with Ryan a couple of months ago after he won the big tournament, the BJJ tournament, and I asked him if he would ever make the jump in MMA. He's like, well, it's something on the back burner, but not for sure yet. And here we are a couple months later, and he's in his first fight. It's amazing. Yeah,
it is going to be pretty cool. He's a good friend of mine as well, and I'm with him every day. We live together, so it should be good to see him fight.
All right. Well, it's going to be next weekend. It's Saturday, right? November the 3rd?
No, it's November 9th.
November 9th. Sorry, my dates are all screwed up.
Friday, November 9th.
Friday, November 9th, everybody. Go check it out. Casino Lac Leamy. I believe tickets are at capitaltickets.ca.
Yeah, capitaltickets.ca. One thing I did want to touch on, before you send me off, is because I'm receiving a lot of questions about why. Why is it the last Rec? And you know what? To sum it up, it's these shows are so difficult to hold. on top of like when you have another full-time job with that. And you know what, like I say it time and time again, and I think people would think I would say it because, you know, to cover something up, or every promoter says that. Like I've been saying from the beginning, like, man, these shows just lose money, you know, and there's been a few times where it's made money. And the times that it's made money, you know, it still didn't cancel out, you know, the times that you lost money. And on top of that, you got to pay taxes on top of all of that, right? And it's a really, really difficult go to do these things. And I've tried to do my best, you know, by the fighters, by the sport, by everybody involved to like run a good show. You know, I tried being associated with charities from the get-go and doing good by the community, hoping that it would bring us more together and, you know, bring the sport into a more positive light. And I believe to some degree we did, you know, have a small impact on that. And we did lots of great things, like being the only fight promotion to ever go over to Afghanistan and hold fights for the troops on 2 occasions. Like, we achieved a lot of, you know, historic things. You know, and however, it's just not sustainable. Like, it's very difficult right now at this time.
Now, do you think it's due to the oversaturation of MMA overall, or do you think maybe just the market's not ready for a promotion in the Ottawa Hall area?
To be honest, I think a lot of it is that, you know, I don't have a degree in marketing, you know, or I didn't go to school for business or anything like that. Like, I know the MMA community. I'm involved in the community. I'm involved through holding amateur events, but holding a professional event and, you know, requires you to get sponsorship, requires you to understand marketing, you know, to, I think, a much higher level than it does for an amateur event. Because, like, for an amateur event, when you're talking about the cost is like maybe 10,000, maybe 15,000 tops, you know, and you jump to a pro event, you're looking at like the cost is going to be anywhere, you know, on the low end of like 60 to 70,000 to the high end of like 150,000 to other shows, you know, like the Score show is way more than that, you know, and, you know, even the Score, I know with all the resources they have, I still know it's difficult for them to hold shows, you know.
Yeah.
So what is it? You know, like, why is it so difficult for us? You know, how come we can't make it work yet? Like, I don't know. Like, are we ever going to be able to make it work? You know, that's a great question, because I know, like, if you look at all the shows that held shows in Ontario, the only one that's really still going since it got, you know, became legal in Ontario is the Score. You know, but I think that's because the Score has multiple uses for the content. You know, they have the show, at least if they can get the cost covered by the show, then they have usable content that they can continue to use on their network. You know, and also they have the ability to sell, you know, the commercials, and which gives them the ability to get, you know, more corporate sponsorship than, say, a smaller show like me that doesn't have that reach.
Now, do you think having the event at the casino hurt as opposed to possibly having the show in maybe a downtown Ottawa location?
You know, that's a good question. And I think, you know, and like, you know, Peter, just being like an Ottawa native and me growing up in Ottawa, like, it is a deterrent that it's just in Gatineau. And like, I can't explain it, but some people just don't want to drive over there. Oh, it's in Gatineau. Like, you know, it sounds like the people who don't leave Ottawa, it sounds like it's in another country, you know? Like, they don't want to drive the 10 minutes to go there or the 15 minutes to get there, you know? For sure, if it was in Ottawa, like in the downtown core, or, you know, maybe at the Civic Center, do I think that more people would come to it? Yes. However, the downside of holding an event in Ontario is that you got $100,000 show in Quebec is $150,000 to run it, okay, in Ontario. And those are the words right from the commissioner, in Ontario himself, Ken Hayashi.
Wow. Now, is that due to maybe more stringent testing for drug testing for Ontario versus Quebec?
No, Ontario has the same I wouldn't say the same drug testing. Now that we're getting into the drug testing question, there isn't really drug testing. The UFC does drug testing. So if the UFC's in Ontario or in Quebec, they'll do drug testing. But no other show is required to do that. I think we covered that a bit briefly when we did the Alistair Overeem interview.
Mm-hmm.
However, the cost difference is, one main cost is you're putting up $1,700 a fight in knockout fees. What that means is that pays for an immediate CAT scan for somebody if they're knocked out. So if you got 10 fights, that's an extra $17,000 right off the bat. Okay? Then, they want certain referees from the UFC, okay, that they want to be there, i.e. Herb Dean, Big John McCarthy, Yves Lavigne. And when you bring in those guys, that costs an extra amount of money. That costs in flights. So I would say easily, you're halfway to that extra $50,000 right there in just 2 points. You follow me? So it's very easy to get there very quickly.
Well, I guess, Nick, you've been very gracious with your time tonight. My final question would be, of all the rec shows you've held, what is your best memory of Rec MMA?
My best memory of Rec MMA, I would say there's a tie. I got two favorite ones. One is the show we had for Brian Dick, who was a dying Ottawa police officer. And we made this video for him, and it was called Brian, We Got Your Back. And the video was all the martial arts schools in the city. It was, showed some of the famous fighters in the city, the fighters on the card, some of his friends from work, just saying, Brian, we got your back, we're here for you, we're doing this for you. And that was the way we opened the show. And, when I went to see Brian after, he was so appreciative of it and everything. And that's not the reason I did it. I did it because he was a man that needed our help, I would say that's definitely number one, because from that stemmed a great friendship until he passed away. So I was very grateful I'd probably say the most grateful for that one. The second one would definitely be when we went to Afghanistan for the first time, and we held the show for the troops. And
that's amazing.
After the show, I got these guys, these fighters, these, lower level fighters that flew over there, no pay, okay, just doing it for charity. So I had to find, we had to find 10 guys who want to fight for free and fight in a war zone for free. And they're there and they're doing an autograph signing, and you would have thought these guys were from the UFC, because everybody who was at those fights was there getting their shirt signed, getting photos signed, getting all that stuff signed, and all the soldiers coming up to all of us, myself included, and just saying, hey, thank you for what you did, thank you for what you did. And I was just blown away. I was like, thank you, thank me, no, thank you. That's why I'm here. I'm here to thank you. I'm here to thank you for what you guys are doing for a country, you don't even live in. You're putting your life on the line, for the benefit of somebody else. I'm the least we can do is what we did for you. So I would say, if you were to ask me my two best memories of Rec MMA, those are definitely them.
Wow. Well, everybody, November 9th, the final show of Rec MMA, and hopefully Rec MMA will make a comeback in the future. Who knows? But Nick, thanks for coming on. And will there be Throwdown Gatineau's in the future as well, or is that associated with Rec MMA as well?
The throwdown so far, like, we got one slated for the new year, we'll probably be announcing shortly. But yeah, that I wouldn't say they're on hold. We were looking at January 19th, but the next possible date is either going to be January 19th or February 8th.
All right. Well, everybody, that's Nick Castiglia from Rec MMA. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Okay, thanks, guys.